What if an object absorbed emotion and started using it to control us? In the Twilight Zone episode, The Fever, a simple gambling token drives a man into obsession and madness, revealing how unseen forces can take hold of the human mind. In this Twilight Zone-inspired episode, the tarot will explore this unsettling idea. Can the feelings trapped within an object come alive and influence those who possess it? Let's pull the cards and step into the shadowy space where emotion and energy collide, where an object might not just hold a story, but a haunting. Hello everyone, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time on my channel. We're going to hop right in to the first question for this Twilight Zone episode 17, Inspired. Are there objects that absorb human emotion? So we're going to start out with Oracle and then use Tarot for more information. So are there objects that absorb human emotion? The Karate Kid. So yeah, I don't think it's that they absorb the emotion through touch as much as they do through our thoughts and our emotion, literally our emotion, how we emote. So apparently it is definitely possible, and not only, well, I guess we should say not only through touch. Ain't no mountain high enough. I think this card is saying that if we think it's impossible, it's definitely not impossible for objects to absorb human emotion. There's no mountain high enough. We couldn't put enough distance between ourselves and an object to avoid having it absorb our emotions. Fallen angel. So it's just basically saying this includes things that we do, things that might put us out of favor. Negative things. Maybe that's the way that we should say it. There's positive and there's negative things that we do, that we say, that we think, that we feel. So it absorbs mostly, apparently, the negative things. It being the objects. I am legend. After a while, I think an object carries all of the things that you're afraid of. It's like you're kind of like a diary in a way. We're just, yeah, kind of like a diary. Fire and Rain, Invisible Man, and the Stepford Wives. So yeah, it absorbs, these objects absorb all of your emotional pain, all of the trials of life and how you react to them. Sometimes, depending on you, these things can be healed and released from you, but they really never get released from the object. We have so many objects around us all the time. We don't know which object can absorb the most. But that object has an invisible you in it with the Invisible Man. And it can react in a not so favorable way with the Stepford Wives. Creepy movie, by the way. The old one. I don't know about the new one, but the old one's creepy. So let's take a look at what tarot has to add to this. So objects have the ability to, not only through touch, but also through your thoughts and your emotions, to absorb things about you, absorb your negative emotion. And there's no way, you can't stop it from happening. You just can't. So we have the Empress. I think you would have to be very creative to avoid having this happen. I think you'd have to be super creative and try a lot of different things. But it's impossible not to think. And it's impossible not to emote. It's impossible not to touch things when you need to, and you might be emoting when you touch something. So yeah, you would have to figure, I don't even think it's possible. Eight of Swords. Kind of in a position where to this we seem to be victims. Because it just is. We always have physical objects around us, always. These cards, for example. And we can choose to just accept the inevitable. That these objects are going to absorb specific things. We don't have to feel guilty about it. We don't have to feel like we're victimized. We don't have to. Maybe one of the only things that could help, which is one of these creative things, is to master our own minds. Really master how we think. Lovers. Yeah, so we have a choice as to how we react to things that happen to us. Do we look at the bad things as, oh, I'm so angry and I just want to get back at so-and-so, or I want to change things and hurt things? And you can do it that way, or you can step back and say, okay, this was really not a good experience, but why did it happen to me and what have I learned from it? That changes the whole perspective. So the object, whatever the object or objects are, instead of getting the barrage of anger, they're not really getting a huge amount of emotion at all. Nine of Swords. Yeah, it's like a diary. It records, this object records all of your anxieties, all of your fears, all of your sleepless nights, all of your negative emotion, if that's what you feed into it. High Priestess. Nothing is really hidden from when it's a negative situation and the object is absorbing. Nothing is really hidden. We have Fire and Rain, which is all your emotional pain and all the trials that you've had in life are in this diary, and we're just going to make this the object, everything to the center. And you can be a little more secretive without even really trying to be more secretive. Like we said, you have a choice as to how you react to the things that happen to you. Even the really bad things. Page of Cups. Yeah, this object has you inside of it. And there's going to come a time where it's going to try these emotions for the first time. It's a Page of Cups. The Fool. That's when they're going to realize that there's really nothing stopping it. It's going to realize there's really nothing stopping it. And the behavior that we might discover could be very, very disturbing. So let's move on to question 2 here. If you're new to my channel, I tend to pick up a little slower so that I can make sure that the cards are mixed well, simply because I don't shuffle a lot here, and I want to make sure that we're not getting repeat cards we're not supposed to get. So this way gives a little head start to the shuffle. All right. Almost there. All right, so question 2. What kind of emotion is most likely to be absorbed and why? Now, we did cover this about the angry emotions and the choices that we have, and that the object is most likely going to absorb the angry emotion. But let's let the cards speak. This gun for hire. Going to move forward here. What kind of emotion is most likely to be absorbed and why? So basically, what leaves the strongest imprint? Hurting someone else leaves a very strong imprint. The emotions that go with that. Cheating on someone else and the emotions that go with that. Both being very strong emotions. And this is, this is hurting someone purposely. This was Casablanca. So having an affair, cheating on someone, bringing up baby, the struggles of raising children. And yeah, that's not always easy. Some children are very strong-willed and turn into completely different people in the teenage years. Sometimes earlier than that. Shop around the corner. Being in service to people who are not appreciative of the service you offer. Karma. Volcano. And don't look back. A lot of the emotions, karmic situations bring great passion, great emotion. So that's another thing. So we've got when you hurt someone, when you have an affair, or you cheat on somebody, the struggles of having children and raising children, being in service to people who do not appreciate the service you offer. Karmic situations that cannot be avoided, that you have to go through, can create huge amounts of emotion. This is the eruption. These are things that can cause the eruption. The emotions that are most likely absorbed and really heavily absorbed by an object. And this is, with Don't Look Back, this is like the epiphany. If you know this, perhaps it's possible to change it, maybe. So let's see if and it could be saying here too that the why could be karmic. but I'm not so sure on that one. So let's hope that the tarot cards will give us a little more hint on the why. Because it said what kind of emotion is most likely to be absorbed and why. You could look at each one of these things here and say, well, hurting somebody, it would be, I mean, the emotion that goes with it, whatever that is, whether that's grief or rage or whatever, that can be absorbed, and it's going to be very strong because it's not a natural human thing to do. That would be the why. But let's see if we can go further here. Again, we have the Empress here. There are many more things than this, okay? This is just a drop in the bucket as to the kinds of emotions that can be absorbed. If we can create them, they can be absorbed. Eight of Wands. It happens very, very quickly, too. An object picks up the negative emotions, the very strong emotions, very, very quickly. Doesn't appear to be a waiting period. Five of Wands. Yeah, this is the chaos and the action of raising children. It isn't an easy thing to do. Bringing up children is not an easy thing to do. And there's a lot of chaos that has to be dealt with. And that emotion, you can see red every now and then, right? And then Six of Wands, not being recognized or being recognized for the service that you do would change things so much. Not being recognized is something that, for the service that you offer, is something that can, again, make you see red. And we're being surrounded by red here. Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, karma is, there's just things, certain things before life is complete that we have to go through. Certain lessons that we have to deal with before life is complete. And some of these things are karmic, some of them and some are still mysteries. We don't know what all the karma situations will be, but they will be something that will have emotion that can be quickly absorbed. These are very strong emotions, so they can be quickly absorbed. Three of Cups. You can be a volcano already, right? And then you can add to that emotion through many different experiences until those emotions are going to blow. Because a 3 is growth, and we're talking growth of emotion here with the cups. Just keeps building, keeps building. 4 of Cups. Yes, you can have the epiphany to say, I don't need to accept those emotions that way. I don't have to. I can stay stable and I can stay strong about what I am feeling. I don't have to emote this strongly, despite what happens. And again, if you remember back in question 1, you have a choice. With the card that was up here, you had a choice. So we see what kind of emotions can be absorbed and what can happen with those. So we are going to pick these up and move on to question 3. And again, if you're new to my channel and you are hearing some strange noises in the background, I have a Chihuahua who lays in a bed next to me, and he is the champion snorer. So you will hear him almost in every video I do, snoring away, and it is his way. He can lay with me anywhere and not make a sound. But as soon as I'm recording, His snoring is incredible. So I think it's his subconscious way of saying, I really don't like what you're doing. I want you to sit with me and be with me and pet me and do everything for me. So anyway, that's his contribution. All right, so question 3. What signs suggest the object is no longer passive? So when an object, you have an object, let's just say car keys, a car key. And you're used to having this car key, but that car key goes everywhere with you. And let's say you are one of those drivers who gets very upset at everything that every other driver does. What signs suggest that your car key is no longer just a car key? It is making you react. Even worse. The Stepford wives there, remember? It was over here. Okay. So not a good show. Not a good show. Nostalgia. Okay, so with the Stepford wives, that's just saying that you'll notice yourself acting very differently than you would normally act. Very differently than you remember. Anytime you have that car key with you, and you may not put 2 and 2 together right away as to the fact that it may be your car key. Fifth dimension. Yeah, you're going to feel as though that you've time traveled, or that you're a totally different person. You've been replaced. It's going to feel like you're in the 5th dimension. This is not who I am. What am I doing? Patch Adams. Yeah, instead of being the person who laughs a lot, that other people have said, wow, your laugh is so contagious and you're such a kind person and so forth. Instead of being that person, you're going to be probably having no sense of humor and not geared towards helping people at all. Sixth sense. Surrender. New direction. If you discover that this is what's happening to you, and you hopefully at this point can still remember what kind of person you actually are, not the monster that you are becoming because of this car key. If you have a strong sixth sense, you're going to probably have an idea of what is controlling this in you. It might be, a given that it's your car key. Maybe that's the only thing that you carry with you all the time is your car key. And you could also ask your guides or your spirit team. Important, do not surrender to this car key. Do not surrender to this car key. That would give this car key new power. I'm looking at new direction. It would give this car key more power over you. You don't want to do that. There's a new direction you need to move in. Need to take a different direction with this car key. The emotions that it's sending your way. Basically, it's a mirror to what you gave to it. It's giving back to you. So let's see what tarot has to share here. We have the Ten of Swords. Yeah, this is the bad. It's this car key putting not so good thoughts into your mind. Very strong, not so good thoughts into your mind. Changing you from who you know you are, who you've always been. That was Wheel of Fortune. 7 of Cups. It's like there's so many emotional choices that are being blown into your mind that you just feel like you're like floating in the 5th dimension. You don't know where you are, who you are, what you're doing. This car key is really giving you some heavy duty emotion that isn't like you. 3 of Cups. Yes, it's growing your emotion completely differently than it did before. Completely differently than who you actually are. Magician. It's a trickster energy. It really is. And you are going to have your spirit team on your side to try and beat this energy. Beat this car key. 5 of Pentacles. It is going to do everything in its power to disrupt your life, cause chaos in every way that it possibly can. If you're floating somewhere, it has lots of power, right? Do not surrender to this car key. Knight of Cups. This is saying take active charge of your emotions. Active charge of your emotions. It's a new direction to take. And hopefully more questions will give us information as to maybe how to do that. But we'll see. So let us pick these up here and move on to question 3. No, question 4, sorry. Question 4. And if you're enjoying this content, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also to share if you know other people who are interested in this kind of subject matter. And also, if you're seeing something in the cards that maybe you feel like makes more sense to you, please share. Please share it. I would love to hear it. I'm just one reader, and these are the impressions I get from the cards and from my own intuition. You have intuition of your own that might be screaming at you. So please share that information with me. I'd love to see it, love to hear it. All right, so question 4. How might an object begin to control behavior or thought? Now we had a little bit of information about that in question 3. But let's let the cards talk some more. Get a little more information with each question. Boy, I guess it really doesn't want to be shuffled. Giving me a hard time here. All right, so Love Train. Going to pull another card here. How might an object begin to control behavior or thought? Well, I'm going to say it's going to use, it says love train. Love is an emotion. So we're going to say like a locomotive, fast and furious. Guidance. I think it's going to be giving you guidance in your mind, very fast and furious. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. Do it now. Do it now. Signs. And again, we have comets here. It's going to come fast. And you're going to see things that are going to set you off. And it's going to tell you that it's going to set you off. At the speed of a comet, at the speed of a locomotive or train. Nostalgia. You're going to know that this is not you. You're going to remember that it is not you. This is not the way you think. But you're kind of frozen. This car key, we're still back to the car key. This car key has you frozen, unable to react or be who you normally are. And we've got Men in Black and Indian Reservation. And do not give me a hard time about this card. It is the name of the song by Paul Revere and the Raiders. So you can remember who you are, but it's like you're frozen. You feel very alien to who you normally would be. You need you need some Men in Black to come get the alien out of you kind of feeling. But this object, again, is going to do everything it can do to control you, to make you think and do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, wouldn't even think of doing. But remember, not the object's fault. It's, unless this is a new object to you, if it's something that you've had and you've put that rage and that kind of thing in, it's just mirroring back to you what you gave to it. Only it's a lot stronger than what you gave. So let us see what Tarot has to add to this. The Devil. Yeah, it's going to do its best to take away your power as fast as it can. Queen of Wands. The guidance that it gives is going to make it sound like it's the truth, and it's going to make it sound like it very much cares about you, and this is what it's going to be putting in your brain. Oh, you need to do this because it's good for you. You need to listen to this because it's going to make you feel better. That's what you want, right? You want to feel better. It's very creepy, okay? That's the guidance it's going to be giving. 10 of Cups. Those signs are going to be coming at you fast and furious. Things that are going to make you emote. And it wants to bring you to the 10 of emotion, meaning as high of a crescendo as it can get. It wants your emotions to just fly and overflow. Crazy like. High Priestess. It does not want you to know this is not who you've always been. It wants that to be a secret, but you have memories. Can't stop your memories. Knight of Pentacles. You need to remember your life quest. You need to remember what actions you want to take in your life, what direction you want your life to be. Because when you're active, you can't be frozen. When you're active, you cannot be frozen. 3 of Cups, again, we've been getting that a lot, right? This is the growth of your emotion, making you feel more and more alien to yourself. The emotion keeps growing because it keeps taking more of your power. 5 of Wands. Your imagination is so chaotic right now. So chaotic when it's got a hold of you. When this car key has a hold of you, your imagination is crazy. All these things are running through your mind about what you'd like to do to other people. What you'd like to do to the car you're driving. It's acting up. Should just run it into a tree. That kind of stuff. So yeah, not healthy. Okay. So we are going to pick up again and move on to question 5. So we know that the object can control your behavior and your thought very strongly by feeding you a lot of things that are not true. With using your emotion and feeding you So there are 7 questions in this Twilight Zone inspired episode 17. We are going to start question 5. Sometimes I have to straighten the piles because they get in the way of one another. All right. Question 5. Why would an object want to influence anyone at all? So does what happens here, I mean, is it possible that this object gets somehow a consciousness when it absorbs so much emotion? Why would an object want to influence anyone at all? Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. Hold on. I'm going to pull another one. Suppose there's a limitation to being what do you want to say, a physical object. Not a lot that you can do. And this is like escaping chains. Putting you on hold, freezing you, escaping its chains and putting you on hold. Titanic. They're going to bring the ship down if they can, and that ship is you. Why? Because with all that emotion within that object, it has to come alive, I would think. Might not necessarily have a consciousness, but something's formed that makes this object basically want to take over the world. And it'll start with you. Nine to 5. Yeah, it's going to work at it and work at it and work at it. It's not going to just do one thing and stop. It's going to be a day in and day out kind of thing. And there we have Indian Reservation again. And again, it's a song by Paul Revere and the Raiders. It's going to try to put as much injustice and disrespect and greed and oppression as it can possibly do into your life. Sixth Sense. Abandoned. You need your spirit team and you need to recognize what is happening here. Somehow, you need to have this object abandon you. Or you need to abandon the object. That would be difficult if it's your car key, I would think. So let's go further with tarot, see what more information we can get. We have the Ten of Cups. Yeah, it has such an overflow of emotion from you. Or, I mean, we're using a car key as an example, but this could be an object from, I don't know, a very tragic situation that affected thousands of people, okay? All that emotion could be in this one object. And it is overflowing. It wants to escape its chains. It wants to push back with some of this emotion. Maybe it feels as though it's going to blow up if it doesn't release something. Two of Wands. Yeah, it wants to freeze you, okay? Make you decide a different way how to use your imagination. It wants you cold. It doesn't want you to be happy. It wants you cold. It wants your thoughts cold. It wants every part of you cold. Like you don't care. But yet, the emotions that it wants you to put off, the actions it wants you to take, are very angry actions. So it wants you cold. It doesn't want you to care about what you're doing. Queen of Pentacles. As we saw in one of the questions here, the last question, I think, where guidance was over there, it doesn't care about your life. It wants you to think it does, but it doesn't care about your life. It's going to sink your ship, meaning you, if it can. That's the destruction that it feels it needs to do for whatever reason. And you might think that, oh, I love this object. It's so beautiful and so wonderful. But in fact, it wants to sink your ship. Knight of Cups with the 9 to 5. Yeah, it's going to have active emotion 9 to 5 plus. It's not going to rest. Hermit. Yeah, it wants you to do all the bad things. One way to counteract this is to kind of try to have some silent moments. If you can have some silent moments, like with the Hermit, some things will light up. You'll be able to get in touch a little easier with your spirit team to try and stop this from happening. 8 of Wands. You need to get a hold of your spirit team quickly. If you notice any of the things that we've covered so far. Knight of Swords. This is fight for your mind. Fight back for your mind. Be active in fighting back so that you can abandon this object. All right, so we are going to move on to question 6. People talk about haunted objects like, I don't know, haunted dolls and things like that. And, from what the cards are saying, it's definitely a possible situation. And there's a reason that these things have gone into these objects. Certain ones may absorb things better than others. I mean, a cloth doll, I suppose, would absorb emotion and, would absorb things, I would think, more than like a concrete bird bath. But I don't know for sure. That's just a guess. All right, so question 6. What happens when the connection goes too far? So what if you can't abandon in time? In time for what? What happens when the connection goes too far? And we don't do jumpers. Okay. What happens when the connection goes too far? They live. Oh, okay. Well, do we need the glasses to see what happens? The sunglasses? I'm not trying to be funny here, but I am. All right. See what comes next. Dragonfly. Okay. What happens when the connection goes too far? Well, they take over. And, it sneaks up on you. It's like you don't even know that you are no longer who you were. That you are a totally different person. And your spirit team is trying very hard to get your attention. Very hard with Dragonfly. to get your attention. If you had a pair of glasses, you could see what you have become. Bringing up baby, you're not the person that you once were. You're not the person your parents raised. Your morals, all of that stuff has kind of gone down the drain. Casablanca, yeah, you're not going to be, I mean, it's not going to, this object, I'll get it out. This object is not going to let you be separated without something bad taking place. Don't look back. Uncle Albert and Admiral Halsey. Circle of life. It's almost as though the only way to end this, what's going on here, is to end the life of the object in a very absurd way. In other words, if it's a doll, do you burn it? Or is there another really crazy way in which you get rid of it? You need to use your imagination. It needs to be absurd. It needs to, because the whole journey, this whole thing has been insane, right? But you need to be able to get rid of this object. Get rid of it. Then things will start over again. It's a circle of life. You will be able to start over again, and you'll be feeling, as though you are who you were meant to be, instead of that angry, horrifying individual that you've become. So let's see what Tarot has to share. Nine of Cups. Yeah, it is an emotional energy that has turned you into someone you're not, someone you weren't at one point. This is when the connection goes too far. World. Yeah, your guides, your spirit team is trying to reach you, but it's like you're in another world. They just are having a very hard time getting through to you. Emperor, yeah, you are a different person, totally different person than you were brought up to be. Hermit, this object wants you all to itself. It wants you to be alone, and it wants to be alone with you. Five of Pentacles. Somehow you have to, well, it's going to keep causing chaos in your life. Bad things to happen unless you find a way or figure out a way to get rid of it. Page of Wands. Think like a child. I think this is what it's saying. Have the imagination of a child when you're thinking about how to get rid of this object. Children have great imaginations, and it needs to be absurd. So, Eight of Pentacles. Once you complete this task, once you plant the seed, your life is going to begin again. It's just how it works. You'll become, well, you probably will never be the same person as you were before. But you'll have you and not this object controlling what you do. So let's move on to question 7 here for the last question in this reading. Yeah, it's hard to imagine being in the throes of an object. For sure. And there are stories of people out there who have been in that situation. A lot of times the object is, claimed to be haunting the individual, and I guess it is in a way, but there's a difference, I think, between haunting and controlling, in my opinion. All right, so question 7. Is there a way to dissolve the emotion within an active object? So can the bond be broken? Or does the energy have to be transferred? Or does the object have to be completely destroyed? Dr. X. I feel like this is saying you can't help it. You cannot help this object. Yeah, don't look back. We had that. This is the epiphany that says you have got to get rid of it somehow. You cannot help it. It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, if you want to get back to who you are, to your wonderful life, this is what you have to do. You have to get rid of this object. There's nothing that can help it. Nothing that can take all of that trapped emotion, all of that emotion out of it. There's Dragonfly again. You can call on your spirit team to aid you with this. Murder on the Orient Express. Practical Magic. Ball of Fire. So yes, there has to be, they can help you figure out how to dispose of this object so that it is no longer a threat to any living being, okay? It might take some special magic. But it needs to be done very, very quickly, like Ball of Fire. When you start noticing signs within yourself, you know that something's not okay. Things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. If you can't remember things that you did and you're not a drinker that has lapses of memory, then you know it's got to be an object. So here with tarot, we've got 8 of Pentacles. Yeah, I think throughout this whole process, I think you've been trying to help previously. Maybe you've tried saging the object. Maybe you've tried putting it under the moonlight or in the sun or whatever. You've tried to work with this object, and nothing's working. Nothing works. Page of Swords. You've studied about it, and you've come to that conclusion that you've got to get rid of it completely. Death. That's the only way you're going to transform your life, which was already transformed by this object. But to transform it back into It's a Wonderful Life, you need to rid yourself of it. Your spirit team will help initiate this change. King of Pentacles, yes, it is going to help you get back in control of your life. Your spirit team is going to help you. And that's going to be with Murder on the Orient Express by getting rid of it in such a way that it cannot affect anyone else. It will never, ever be a threat to anyone again. It is a creative process, some creative magic in there. Done very, very quickly like a ball of fire, and it is complete, and you begin again. So this could be setting it on fire. This could be smashing it into a zillion pieces and dumping it in the deepest part of the ocean. Again, you would have to listen to your guides to determine what is the best way to separate yourself from this object forever, and in a way that it will never be able to affect anyone else as well. That is it for this reading. I'm going to give you a teaser for Twilight Zone episode 18 for next week. Next time, what if a single step could change everything? In the blink of an eye, you're no longer in your city, your year, or your world. Could this happen for real? In episode 18, we explore the eerie idea of stepping into another time and place without ever meaning to. You won't want to miss it. And then also on the screen, you can see the show schedule. I do 2 other shows each week, so 3 in total. And if you like Twilight Zone, you might like the other 2 as well. So check that out if you're inclined to. And with all that said, this is it for this episode. I thank you for making it, hopefully, to the end with me, and hope that I'll see you next week as well. In the meantime, have a fantastic week. Take care.